All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode, Motivational Mondays. I'm happy to announce that I'm here with a new guest, Burns Real Estate agent Ben Carbone. Ben, thank you very much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Really looking forward to breaking down, what it's all about.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So beginning, I'd like to just give the next generation a little bit of perspective about what exactly it is that you do, and as a real estate agent, and exactly how you were able to scale up and see some sort of success in your career. So if we could start there, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah. So, what my title is I'm the vice president of the commercial division at Burns Real Estate. I fall under the realm of commercial real estate, mostly residential, multifamily properties, but I also tap into some residential markets as well, just based on the nature of where I'm from geographically. Northeastern Connecticut is where I grew up, where I currently reside, where I do a lot of my business. So, you're really the 395 corridor up from Norwich to Worcester, 290, right around that belt as well. That seems to be the main area of focus. And I'm also an investor, so I invest in multifamily properties. I have 36 units currently, adding another unit to one of my properties, which I'll have 37, probably around year end, beginning of 2025. Yeah, it's a dynamic industry, but my main focus is how can I help investors maximize their current portfolio or start a portfolio to give them, in essence, financial freedom for the future.
That's great. I love that, man. That's awesome. Are there any sort of actionable steps that you took to get where you are, and something that somebody might be able to utilize to be in your position?
Success does find you, I think, more than you find success. It goes along in the same pattern, but you really need to focus on yourself, personal development, become a valuable resource to the market, and the market will respond adequately as to what your development strategies were and where you currently are as a human being. So, you're only worth as much as the marketplace says, and that could be to other people, that could be to a business, that could be as a real estate agent, that could be as a property owner, that could be anything and everything for success in general. The big thing that I realized is I grew up in a family where we didn't have many opportunities. My father got sick when I was very young. He had to leave his full-time income, so it was really on my mom. He lived on $26,000 a year through a pension.
Hmm.
My mom was working two jobs at the time, so we had a great family structure and core, and there was a lot of love in the household. But financially, it wasn't the most secure or the best. However, they provided everything that they could for us, and they did very well by doing that.
Right.
However, I wanted something different to provide for future generations in my family going forward, and also them. My mom, my brother. My dad is no longer with us, unfortunately, but kind of living on and keeping his legacy in mind. But
Hmm.
the actionable items is really to create value in the marketplace, and I just took that step to read as much as possible, absorb as much information as possible, ask as many questions to professionals and anybody that I wanted to be like and replicate. That's the biggest thing is finding a mentor, somebody that you can, in essence, shadow and extract as much information and key takeaways to move forward with. So networking was huge. That was probably the number one catalyst and still is as to where my career is now. So
Yeah, I love that, dude. Is there any you mentioned networking and finding a mentor. Is there anybody in particular that you would accredit to a lot of the stuff that you learned? I know I have a lot of mentors myself. I did 7 years in basketball development, and I have somebody that I look up to in that field.
yep.
So, is there anybody that you would say you can credit to a lot of what you learned?
Yeah, so I think it's it goes on a per value basis, right? So you
Mhm.
have different mentors for different things in life,
True.
and I can give you three right off the top. So my father was huge for interpersonal relationships and conversation, and just thinking more holistically about the world. He gave me a beautiful gift of meditation when I was 17 years old. Taught me how to, practice transcendental meditation. I've been doing it for 9 years now. Ever since he taught me,
Hmm.
so that was huge. He was a mentor in that regard of life. Business mentor. I've had multiple throughout. One who is a close friend and used to be a colleague of mine and a partner is Mitch Truly and Greg Mead. They're both in the e-commerce space. where I was previously to real estate.
Hmm.
And then most recently, as of Burns Real Estate Group, my portfolio, where I'm headed in the trajectory that I'm headed in real estate, is certainly the owner and a good friend of mine, Mike Burns, who is a Nichols alumni,
Yes, sir.
and has his own touch to basketball as well.
Yeah.
But he has a brilliant visionary mind, unbelievable with operations and putting people in the right place to succeed and
Hmm.
making sure that the team succeeds. So like basketball, team sport, he takes it into a business perspective, and he showed me avenues on how to grow and 10x myself and my business personally as an investor, but also as an agent
Right.
in a multitude of ways.
Yeah, we all know of coming from Nichols. If you're a Nichols alum, most of us know Mike, and big shout out to him. So yeah, so I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit, talk a
Sure.
little bit about just your mindset, and if there's anything specific that you take into your, whether it's your career or your life, something positive, positive perspective to give my following, just to give them a little bit of perspective on how you're able to function in your career, in life. If there's one particular quote or like I said, something that a parent told you growing up, if there's anything in that sort of regard that speaks to you, now's your time to talk about that.
Yeah, so there's a ton of quotes that I could put out there, on motivation, on life, on just being a human being and being successful. But I think the one that it might sound cliche to a lot of people, but it sticks with me because my father, and also just the course of my life and what's happened throughout, right, is truly the quote, "Everything happens for a reason." And having that perspective, it truly does, right? You are put into the family that you are, with the resources that you have and the people around you for a reason. I think I was given that reason for my father to be ill at a young age, and having me grow up very quickly around 13 years old. It put me in a different perspective of life as to, hey, like I'm the one that needs to be the breadwinner for my family to go out there and get it. And then also just happenstance of where my career's gone, the people that I've met, the things that I've done, the places that I've traveled, the success that I've had. It all seems to just be a coincidence in essence, but it's really not. It's the pattern of constant progression and moving forward and hard work.
Right.
So the harder that you work, things are going to happen to you, and because of that, you can say everything happens for a reason. But it's because you're reaching out and going towards those things and taking actionable steps that it's really happening. And it does happen for a reason. It happens because you're giving action and you're motivating yourself, you're motivating others, you're creating this whole energy force around you that's just propelling it and giving you more of what you desire. So everything does happen for a reason in that regard.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I use that quite a bit for when I'm talking to, I was coaching for like I said, I was coaching for 7 years. I'm in a STEM program currently. When I'm talking to kids, I use that all the time, and it's a great perspective to have, because yeah, everything does happen for a reason. Totally agree.
It does.
So.
Like even young kids, right? Like maybe they miss a season
Mhm.
and because they got injured, and it goes, well, it happened for a reason, to give you perspective of, do you really care about the sport? And also, are you willing to put in the work to get back into it and get it done, right? It gives you
Yeah.
a perspective. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe you weren't meant to flourish this year. Maybe, you need to prolong your career a little bit. It's just the perspective of having that. So, yeah.
Right. Also, again, switching gears a little bit. So, just to clarify, what were your two expertise again in the real estate world?
Commercial real estate, right? And commercial real estate encompasses a ton of different things. It could be medical office space, it could be industrial space, it could be strip malls and plazas, or multifamily.
Right.
I really specialize in multifamily based on the geographic location that we're in, and also I'm an investor myself, so I personally do it every single day. So
Yeah.
I have that innate perspective of, I know what investors are looking for. I know how to manage tenants. I know what properties, may need for CapEx expenditures and things of that nature. But I
Mhm.
also do commercial leasing, large commercial buildings, right? I have one that's getting listed shortly here, 20,000 square feet, 19 units of commercial space in Southbridge, Mass. I have another one in Killingly, Connecticut that's 10,000 square feet of commercial space. So we do it all here at Burns Commercial, really top to bottom, everything. So it just depends on what comes down the pipeline.
Right. So, speaking on, you said that you do it personally on your own time as well. So that's a good point. That's a good point to add, I think, is is putting in the work yourself. Do you think that has a lot to do with the position that you're currently in, being able to work on your own as well as working for the prestigious company that you work for? Is it a little bit of both, or what type of value do you think that it adds that you were able to put in that work on your own time as well?
The value is massive, and the value for me is, it's personal and an objective of how can I build this lifestyle and build this business that is sustaining for future generations of my family. Currently who I am, my mom, my brother, my future kids, things like that, and then looking down the line. It gives me that perspective as a property owner as to what people are going to deal with as investors, so I can come to them from a place when I'm dealing with an investor who is purchasing a property or has multiple properties. I can come to them from a place of understanding rather than just a salesperson who might want to get the commission or get the sale. I
Yeah,
understand, in depth as to what the process looks like and the daily management and dealing with tenants, collecting rent, property maintenance, everything that goes along with it. So,
right. Being relatable and being personable, you spoke to. That's a huge part of it. I feel like in any field where you're actually interacting with people. So thank you for bringing that up. That's huge. Yeah. So
100%, man.
so
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all the questions I have for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave the audience with that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think, what we talked about earlier is your audience is really, for people that are looking to get motivated and for younger generations. And
Yep.
what I always say to people, especially when I go back to Nichols College and speak, I'm part of the board of advisors at Nichols, so I'm
Mhm.
integrated with the community on an alumni basis, but also I talk to students. I have interns from Nichols. It's a school that I love to give back to because they did a lot for me,
Mhm.
and really made me part of the person or partly the person I am today. And those are the opportunities of networking. And, it's okay to be uncomfortable in life. You're meant to be uncomfortable when you walk into a room full of strangers and you don't know one person at a networking event or at a, investor meetup or whatever it may be. Is
Right.
It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to be awkward, feel awkward. Just start to break down those barriers and introduce yourself. Come up with a short 10-second script, introducing yourself and practice in the mirror, practice in the car, record yourself doing it, and then you become more comfortable in those settings.
Right.
And from there, I mean, something my dad always said to me too that really fascinated me is he was brilliant with communication, and he was always able to just spark up conversations with anyone and everyone around him, get them laughing, leave a smile on their face. And I remember I was like maybe 15 years old, and I witnessed it at a supermarket, and he had like three cashiers, like these ladies, like absolutely loving life in this moment. And I was like, we walked out, and I said, Dad, how do you get people to feel that way and talk that way? And he goes, I care more about their story than my own story and telling them my own story. I want to hear and extract anything from them. So I ask them as many questions as possible to continue the conversation, and they feel that, I am interested in a different level with them. And it's so
Mhm.
true, right? When you go to a networking event, that's something that you should be looking to do is, hey, what do you do? What are your interests? Do you like to travel? Do you like to do these things? Oh, I see that you wear this watch. Where'd you get that? What's the story behind that? Little things, and it might trigger something that all of a sudden, you didn't know sparks a massive conversation, and you become good friends, and you go from there. And it's happened countless of times. So I'm sure you
Mhm.
know. I mean, just being on the podcast, you're
Yep.
asking questions of people, and you get to talk about their story, and then all of a sudden you have that connection, and it's just part of it.
1000% agree. I've been that's kind of the reason I started this whole thing is because I understood that, asking people the right questions, you learn a lot. And I'd rather learn a lot of other people's perspectives and continue to learn than worry about myself constantly. So I 1000% agree with
Yep.
that. Yeah, so thank you very much for, coming on briefly. I really appreciate your insight, and hopefully I see you back on the hill at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Let's plan to get together, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to seeing your growth pattern with this. I think you got a great thing going. Super excited for you. So just keep pushing, and hopefully, we can get back on this together at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Enjoy your day.